Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to discuss another quick topic about Buddhism. I think this is going to be a very important topic because the topic is what brings us suffering. So, the reason I told you this is going to be a very important topic because if you know what brings you suffering, you can stay away from it. So to start with, I'll give you a quick story happened in Buddha's time. One day there was a guy and his son, he loved him a lot, but unfortunately he lost his son. So he did all the funeral works and everything, and then he was very sad. And when he was walking on his way to home, so he met another one of his friends. So that friend told him, knowing that he lost his son, to console him. He said, Supreme Buddha is living in that monastery, so go and have a chat with him. So he said, okay, that's a good idea. So then he went to the monastery and then he met Supreme Buddha, and then he told Buddha the story what happened. So then Buddha said, yeah, I know the loved ones gives you suffering. And then he didn't quite get that point, and he was thinking like, nah, this is not, there is something wrong with that point, because loved one only gives me pleasure, because when my son was alive, so he gave me only the pleasure. So then he couldn't take that point, so then he just left the monastery. And while he was walking to home, then he met a few other friends, and he was telling them the story what happened in the monastery. But anyway, this story was spreading all over that suburb. And then anyhow it went up to the king as well. So the king was thinking, yeah, I'm also thinking that loved ones give us only the pleasure, not the suffering. So the queen, Mallika, she was listening to this, and then she said, if that was said by Buddha, so definitely there should be it should be true. So then anyway, so they didn't believe that, because the king was not accepting that point. And then Queen Mallika couldn't explain that, because she didn't know that either. But because of she had a faith on Buddha, she accepted because of the faith. But anyhow, then one of the queen sent one of her ministers to see Buddha and then to get this cleared. So when the minister was talking to Buddha, then Buddha asked, do you have any son? Then he replied, yes. Where is he now? Buddha asked. The minister said, he is in one of the academies far away from this area. So then Buddha asked, how do you feel if something happens to your son? So the minister said, oh dear sir, I don't even think about that, because I love him a lot, so I don't want anything to happen to him. So Buddha said, okay, that's all right. And do you have any related sons? Then he said, yeah, I got few. And then what do you think if something happened to them? So the minister said, I will be sad, but not like something happens to my son. Buddha said, okay, so do you know any other son, the other boys in the similar age, which are not even related to you? So the minister replied, yeah, there are many. I know many of them at the same age, but they are not related to me. So then Buddha asked, okay, what do you think? How do you feel if something happens to them? So the minister said, to be honest, I don't mind anything. I don't mind what happens to them, because I don't know them, and there's no connection. So Buddha said, okay, so now do you understand, if something happens to your son, you are very sad. So if something happens to your related sons, you'll be sad, but not as much as you're sad about your son. So if something happens to the other boys who are not related to you, So anything happened to them, then you don't mind. Then the minister understands, yes, he got the point, and if we get the ownership, if we are attached to that, if we loved, they only gave us the suffering. So then minister worshipped Buddha, and then he went to the palace and then explained that to queen, and then queen explained that to king, and the story goes like that. But now when we consider this story, so we have to understand the same thing, you know. Anything happens to our loved ones, the loved ones only gave us suffering. So likewise, you know, if somebody who's living in USA or London or Paris, who we really don't know, if something happens to them, then it doesn't feel like, you know. So we don't mind. It doesn't bother us. But if something happens to our very close friends or relative or things like that, that's really sad. But if something happens to a family member, so that's going to be unbearable. So let's take that into the other attractive stuff as well, you know. For our cars, our house, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife. So those things, why those things give us suffering? That is because we are attached to them. And anyhow, so let's say we got to know that there is a collision in the freeway, and then 2 died. So how does that feel? That's just information for us, right? So probably under compassionate situation, we may feel sorry about that, but it doesn't quite feel us, you know. So the 2 cars damaged, and they've been written off. So are we gonna be, you know, scared about it, or worry about it, or are we gonna jump up and down? No. And also 2 people died, but it's still, you know, we know that the human, we got a bit of a compassionate, but doesn't feel like into our heart, bottom of our hearts. So why? What's hidden behind this? The reason is that the ownership, the attachment, the love, they are not loved ones. So that's the main reason. If you start attaching to anybody, anything, whether it's a feeling or physical object outside, anything, that is the only thing which is going to affect you, which is going to give you suffering, which is going to give you your sadness. So whatever the word you explained, so used to explain, so that's the same thing. Only